All right, Mike here, Northeastern Dirt and Property Maintenance today, and I'm out here and I'm putting another load of gravel in. The gravel appeared several days later with the triaxle. I got my second load, and it just mysteriously appeared. So I got it, and I'm putting it down right now. But what I wanted to show you really is one technique I use to cut a swale. Like if I'm grading, and there's a lot of different ways to cut a swale. Purely track loader, purely excavator, a combination of both, tractor and bucket. You can cut swales, whatever you got. You can cut a swale with a shovel if you want. But anyway, today we're using the 30 here, and I'm just working on fooling around right now. And because this lot here, the way it is such a steep slope in here, and there's so many boulders and so much rock in the ground, I am not going to cut this level. Way too many rocks and too much earth, so you know what, forget it, I'm not doing it. I'm going to make it good, but we're going to cut a swale in here, so whatever water comes down here will hit this swale and it'll go to the culvert. I had it kind of graded that way already, and that's what I'm working on today. So you got your high ground up there in front of the camera. You've got your low ground right there with a 12-inch culvert. Let's call it a 12, might be a 10, but we'll say 12. So what happens is that water all comes down this lot. We don't want it going toward the garage, which it won't anyway because we're substantially lower. But anyway, so what I do when I'm cutting a swale, redirecting the water, if you look here, there's various ways to do it, but this is just one way that I do it. I'll take the excavator or the track loader, depending on the width you want and the ground conditions. And what I find does a nice job is if you take that excavator bucket, and you can start at the top on a natural grade like this, and you can just grub your way all the way down with the bucket all the way to this culvert. So you're basically making a trench from the top all the way to the bottom. That's step one. And it only, because you have the natural fall here, you only have to go in a little bit from the top to the bottom. Your depth of cut never changes because you've got the natural grade here just by looking at it. So you don't have to worry about that. So let's say you cut in 5 inches up there, you'll end up at 5 inches down here also, just following the natural grade. And we'll say you use a 30-inch bucket. So you've got a 5 by 30-inch trench all the way down here. Now, a nice, easy way to do that, especially in this conditions, is I'll run my track loader with one track. I should have showed you guys this earlier, but sometimes I don't film everything, and sometimes I just don't think of it. I just get jobs done. But you can drop one track in the trench when it's done with the skid loader, and you can run on an angle with your bucket, and you can cut that bank, and you can do a nice gradual cut on this side, drop your track in, the machine will be on an angle, and you can cut straight up that with one track in the trench and one track out. So therefore your skid loader will be sitting on an angle, and you can run right down that 90-degree cut and cut that 90 degrees right off that trench, and you can smooth it out on each side, and you can pull back and you can grade it to the depth you want from the sides, and it gives you a nice gradual trench. And you can do that even with a track loader if you wanted a 48-inch wide swale in someone's backyard, and it only has to be a couple inches deep. You can do the same thing. There's all different ways to cut a swale, but that's how I cut this one. And you can see I'm working on it right now, and you can see that right there, that the parking lot on this side comes to it, because there's a lot of water that comes down here. There's no doubt about it. And there's a huge swamp in there too, and that's why I put this drain in there to go down to this culvert. So that's a natural drain, so we want to keep that swamp drain. But anyway, and that's how I do it. I'll just sweep it from each side, pull back with the machine when I'm done, and I can work it, and I'll show you. And we're using, and on this, when you're pulling back from your trench and you're grading out your swale on the sides, you're going to use that float position. Float with bucket finesse is what I find works nice. Everybody does it different. But I use the float function a lot on this, and I will show you the end result. Let's give her. Notice when I'm working that float position, I am not working the heel of that bucket at all. That heel of that bucket does not work. It's like the toe, the front of your bucket is what you're using most of the time. You're using halfway to the bucket to the front of your bucket. And you're just floating that and you're massaging that bucket and making sure that the front quarter of that bucket is doing all the grade work for you in and out of the trench. So as you're coming out, you're manipulating that stick and you're just floating that bucket up and down, and to give you that smooth grade coming in and coming out. That's what I use, and it works good for me. And you can see that's what it looks like from the beginning right there, that fresh gravel. And so I just thought I'd give you guys a little bit of a pointer on what I do with that. And one thing I will say about this ASV, like I've had a couple of them now, and this little machine's fantastic for grading in and around homes, tight lots. But because you're sitting so close to the front of that bucket, and that lip of that bucket is kicked out so much further in front of the operator, you can manipulate that thing and you can finesse and massage your way into pretty much any position with that ASV. I sometimes shit on ASV, and I think with good reason, but there are some good points with those ASVs, there's no doubt, and that's why I own it. But anyway, and for a nice finish grade and really hammering on a rough grade around homes or anything, I have to say that little machine there does a really good job. And this is where it shines. When you get yourself into a position like this and you want to finesse your way around and do a little bit tighter and finer work, that's when that ASV shines. So as you guys could see, that bullhorn on the front of that bucket on that Kubota works really nice for hooking into that pintle ring and lifting that right up. heavy downpour, and I seen it the other day, boy, the water just runs down this hillside here, and you just really got to watch it. So I want to catch it, and you look here, that's what I was trying to accomplish right there. Just keep that swale in there slightly. As you guys can see, keep it fairly smooth. Let that, give that water a place to go. Some of it will perk through the gravel, of course it will. But the real heavy downpour, it'll stay on top, and it'll do some gravel pushing down here, there's no doubt about it. And it'll get in here, but that's what I was trying to accomplish today. So I made a little bit wider parking area here too. That was the whole idea today. And also, not only made a bigger parking area there, but here too. I laid down a bunch of gravel over here too, just to kind of finish this up. I got to rake it, grade it a little bit. But I think what's going to happen up here, I was going to make all of this parking, but you know what? I think what I'm going to do is keep working on the dirt part of this now, and I'm going to turn this into grass. So you will have grass up in here, and it'll run right to the border of this gravel. And just like what I got going over there. Doesn't look very good now because we got weeds growing up and everything else, but as you can tell, that grass seed really took hold over there with the wet weather we've been having. So once I get this trimmed up and the lawn down, it'll come along nice. But until then, I just keep doing some detail work. So that's about it for the wrap for this video. I just hit this thing with the plate tamper right there. I thought, why not bang her off? There was a little bit of moisture still left in the stone, so it wasn't completely dry. Blow and dust everywhere. It's terrible if you can't even tamp dry stone. Doesn't make sense. But anyway, that's what we got so far. Just a little bit extra parking space here and a little bit of a swale for this rainwater to get down to this culvert, because this was terrible for water laying around this area. Okay guys, thanks for tuning in. You saw the track loader, a bit of grading and swale cutting, and a little bit of finishing on this parking area. Okay, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you in the next one.